Welcome, everyone. It is now Thursday, July 9th, 2026, at 7 p.m. We're going to call this meeting to order. Everybody, please rise for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have roll call starting to the left.
Councilwoman Hiddens.
Here.
Councilwoman Gray.
Here.
Council President Gray.
Here.
Councilman Gould.
Here.
He'll be here.
We do have a quorum. We're going to begin. Rick, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
I have no recommended deletions or adjustments.
Thank you very much. Now to public comments of non-agenda items. Jervis Community Council values and welcomes public input of city concerns. Please address the city council as a whole rather than individual members. The council may direct staff to follow up on concerns or issues or schedule the matter for a future council decision. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person with an optional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. If you wish to address the city council, please come forward to the desk with the microphone and identify yourself with name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Vicki Wagner, 166 East Hemlock Drive. And I actually have 2 questions. One is my own and one is from someone that could not be here. The first one is in regards to the water rate hikes. And we thought that there was a plan to raise the water rates a little bit at a time so we wouldn't end up needing bigger increases later. My understanding is that the plan was stopped for a few years and is now started again. Can you explain what happened, when it was stopped, and whether stopping it is one of the reasons for the increases that are bigger now?
Well, Rick can confirm or not if he wants to, but there's a resolution in 2019 that said a price increase of 2.5%, I believe it was, every single year. So that was continuing on, and then it was stopped. Now I can confirm that nobody on this council here was part of the decision to stop it. But since it is a valid resolution, we have to follow it. So we started back up again. Fortunately, it's actually for 3 years, we started off the increase a little bit less than it should have been if it would have been at 2.5%. That's all I can say. Is that correct, Rick?
That's absolutely correct. I could read the paragraph from the budget message if you'd like, Mr. Mayor.
Please do.
In the budget message, I referred to this, that the Jervis City Council in November of 2019 set a minimum water rate annual increase until the year 2035. It was based upon the costs for the implementation of the Water Master Plan and set the increase for the water operations at 2.75% annually. The increase was done in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. It has not been done since. And yet we find no record of repealing the resolution. The water fund is an enterprise account, meaning that it needs to pay for itself without using tax dollars. In the current fiscal year and the last fiscal year, the expenditures exceeded the revenue. The proposed budget, and this is the budget that the council adopted in June, the proposed budget includes a 5% water rate increase against the 8.25 adopted by the previous council action for the missing 3 years of increase, 24, 25, 26. Significant additional expense has been recently made known, an estimated $65,000 expense to repair the damaged water filters was not known when the Water Master Plan was completed. So essentially, they passed a resolution based upon a long-term Water Master Plan that said 2.75 for every year until 2035. They did it for 4 years. They haven't done it for 3 years. And so the budget that the council adopted in June includes a 5%, which does not make up for the 3 years of 2.75, but does provide some relief to the budget fund.
So does that mean, thank you, yes, does that mean that next year, if there's a hike, that it will go back to the lower 2.75? Or will it be a few years?
The intent of this budget officer is to go back to 2.75 unless there's some extreme measure which the council or a budget committee says we need to address. But that's the intention of this budget officer, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And now for my question. There was an article in the Woodward Independent on June 7th, and the article stated that the city's estimated $315,000 general fund deficit originated from expenses incurred in April of 2024. Could you clarify which city council approved those expenditures and whether those decisions were made by the council that was later recalled or by the current council, please?
Mr. Mayor, may I? Well,
Please do.
through the mayor, it's a matter of semantics. Perhaps it would have been better phrased that they went into the red in April of 2024, not by expenses done in April 2024. In April of 2024 was a point in which the general fund went from being into the black into the red. But it would be a semantical error on my part to indicate that it happened because of expenses made just during the month of April. That's just when we crossed the line. There were several different areas in which they expended them beyond, but none of the staff that was here in 2024 is in a position to determine what the root cause was. I can tell based upon forensic auditing that professional services was a significant element of it, which typically means contracted services such as audits, such as planning from council of governments, such as legal, people that were employed by the council that were not employees. When we had a police chief that I hired for 6 months, he was hired through professional services because we didn't pay him payroll. He was a contract we had with Sherwood to pay for his salary. So I can tell you that it was at least 75% related to professional services. Beyond that, I do not and cannot fairly state the authorization or the reasoning for that experience in 2024. We are still working on the 24-25 audit, and a lack of documentation is a significant element of our challenge.
In addition, nobody on this council came on board until after 2025. So anything that happened before that, we wouldn't be able to answer your questions on that because it was a previous council.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Hello. I'm Monica Chapman. I recently am a resident here this past couple of weeks. I'm here on 280 7th Street. And the first thing, it was our first house, so the first thing I wanted to do is be part of this community and to be involved. And so the first thing I did was look at your financial statements, at least the one that was available online. And I noted the modified opinion. As a background, I am an auditor, specialized in municipalities like cities, counties, and special districts. I work for a firm in Salem called Singer Lewak. And I really just want to.
Sorry, what was the name again?
Singer Lewak. And I just want to help. So I know that my firm has a couple of services that can provide like consulting where we can come in and help with some of the books, get you audit ready. I know my partner Brad, he has a total governmental accounting class that he's doing here in August. If you guys have anyone where you would like to join, investing your knowledge in governmental accounting, we also have that. So just let us know, and I want to help. So just let me know what I can do.
Yeah, our point of contact would actually be Rick over here. He's the finance specialist for the city.
I appreciate name and a phone, email or a phone number left for me, so I can reach out to you. Be an appropriate time for me to announce that this month. We will start recruiting for new budget committee members.
That's very interesting.
Our budget committee, is made up of, it's the number of elected people, which we have 6, and an equal number of citizens. And the 6 citizens rotate, so every year 2 of them rotate. It's a 3-year term. And every year 2 of them rotate off. And we have 2 people that are rotating off. So we will be advertising for budget committee members starting next week with the hope to appoint 2 people at the August council meeting. So please leave me your contact information or take one of my cards and let's get in touch.
Thank you so much. I also have Brad's business card, so if you want to protect him. And the council permission Rick's as well. If I can get a business card, get to him, to you guys.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm gonna just throw another plug out there. The other committee we have that nobody volunteered for, we still sort of had 4th of July, was our events committee. So if you're really into stuff like that, we appreciate that.
Perfect. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Welcome to Jervis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andy Chamberlain. I actually live in Salem. But my address. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Mandy Chamberlain. I'm coming in from Salem. I actually live at 155 Connecticut Avenue, 97317. I'm here today to speak about Richard Panisi, who's someone who under case updates today you will be hearing about him. So
Yeah, let's hold that button.
I can hold it. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, so I met Richard years ago and I was asked to speak because the person's been in trouble with the law, and when I did him in 2019, he broke the law against me. I dated him for about 6 weeks. Very toxic, always intoxicated, always angry. I just have a couple things I wrote down. He would speak about retaliation, anger, and rage to his daughter's family for keeping his daughter from him, and describe how he would want to harm his family to get to his daughter. It was very scary. And I do have a query right here. I have quotes from my victim statements that I can just submit if you want. But I've been through a year's worth of court dates. He was harassment, verbally and psychologically abusive, telephonic harassment. Well, those were the charges I dealt with in 2019, and breaking a restraining order and further telephonic harassment all happened into 2020. But back when he would be getting arrested, he lived in Jervis, Jervis citizen. He would get arrested, picked up, brought home. Picked up, get arrested, spend a couple days in jail, brought home. And a lot of these, well, for a year, it was me being the victim of these crimes through breaking restraining orders or just continued harassment. I think he broke the restraining order 2 or 3 times during the year, and I had restraining orders for 3 years. They dealt with Jervis police back in 2019 and 20 a lot, and when I worked with them, I didn't really have much faith. Because I would call with concerns about Mr. Panisi, about why he was picked up, because if you're a victim, then you sign up and you get notified when offender offends again. And so I was notified over the years about these cases, and I would contact Jervis Police, and I would get, handed off to go to Marion County or contact somebody else. And my concern was here in town with a Jervis citizen, and so I kind of just gave up contacting Jervis and started going through Marion County if I had any questions, because no one ever returned a call or got back. I felt like a real pest or a bother when I did contact. But Richard was picked up again this last May, and when he was done so, I got notified and by Pfizer, which is the name of the services, and shortly after that, I contacted Jervis Police and heard back from Chief Morris, and he was starting to put together a case about Richard and his habitual, I guess, crimes in this town are just continuous over the years. So shortly after Richard, I'll just finish my statement here, sorry. Shortly after Richard was arrested, I began communicating with Chief Morris about Richard's current case, my case from 2019 and other cases related to Mr. Panisi. Chief Morris is putting together a case against Mr. Panisi to hold him accountable for his crimes, also to determine a pattern of violence, criminal behavior from Richard's past. These current biased crimes, as well as his past domestic violence, harassment, intoxication-related incidents, etc., helped to convict Richard yesterday. I don't have all the details, but I do know some justice is being served. And I must give credit where credit is due. Chief Bob Morris and his officers have been working on this case against Richard Panisi day in and day out. And on their own time, they put together a real case against Richard, working with myself, Michelle McElroy, the mother of Richard's child, Gabby Stevenson, his child, and Kathy Pomlosky, who was one of his other girlfriends, and many others. It's taken our statements, collected all of our documents that we've had, and he's just done so much, all to finally find some justice for this man who has become a habitual offender in Jervis, who is only escalating with his crimes. And I know it brought up a lot of trauma for me, but to see that actually something has been done, is being done, and that someone's actually working to get justice, to get this person off the streets. It's worth it to me to have the weight lifted and hopefully courts holding to their crimes and get and officially move on. Working with Chief Morris compared to the past, I never knew an officer's name before. And this was during my crimes, my stuff against Richard. No one did anything. He was acquitted of everything he did to me. And so he just kept coming back and coming back. And Mr. Morris, Chief Morris, he's just been so great. And I find myself sharing with my friends and family, community, and just, I don't live here, but please help give me peace that I couldn't get from officers in Salem or officers in the past too. So I want to say thank you. It's something's being done.
Thank you for sharing your story. And I know I let you go past 3 minutes, but
Sorry.
I believe you needed to get that out of your
I
shoulders. We also need to hear the police department is doing a great job. We have a new chief and doing wonderful things for the community. And I, for one, definitely appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
thank you.
Anyone else with public comments?
Me. Becky Newton, 765 Third Street, Fairfax. I just wanted to ask that in the next newsletter, if we could remind our citizens that there is a noise ordinance. Please. Little noisy a couple weeks ago in my backyard until like 2 in the morning.
Sometime.
Yes, there are time parties, but if we could just remind our citizens.
Definitely. That's only respectful.
And we were out there, 2 or 3 times trying to deal with them.
Yeah.
Anyone else for public comment? Welcome.
You could explain it for Latin Spanish, but they don't have somebody translate.
Yeah.
Mi papá y hermano hablan inglés.
Ajá.
Quieren quiero que presentar la junta para pedir lo que ellos
Okay.
quieren. Por eso,
Okay.
sí, o sea, recibimos un aviso o es una población que recibimos acerca del pollo que tenemos.
Ajá.
Y no sé si pueden tenerlo, quiero pedir que tengo una lista de capital que gusta mucho su huevito y tenerlo. Por esa razón, ¿sabes? Permite.
¿Cómo se llama? Fidel.
Mi esposa,
This is Fidel Cruz. He lives at 965 3rd Street in Jervis. They got this violation notice because they have a chicken. And they have a daughter that is disabled. And she loves her chicken and the eggs. And they want to know if it's something that they have to get rid of or they can keep it.
Look at me.
I know.
My wife did a lot of research on it before. Well, I'll say I have chickens. It said that you could have 6 chickens, no roosters. If not, then you can even make that chicken your emotional support animal.
Yeah. I think you just have to get documentation from like a doctor or medical professional. Or if you look at me.
It's just chickens or the roosters too.
Can she petition the council?
They have, so they need to come to say. So they have a total of 6, no roosters.
The limit was 5.
No,
Six.
at least that's what my wife said.
Well, I don't know. I don't have to go to front of me.
Did Traverse City cycle?
We took a notice by today. Steve, at some point, somebody complained and Steve delivered those, he was delivering a number of them today.
There's a lot of, it's much of it.
Did they quote the city code that they cited him for?
Yeah, we're definitely have to look into this.
Yeah.
We're gonna need some time to look into it. But we're happy to do so.
Pero no están seguros, so lo van a investigar y luego pues
¿Dónde podemos llamar?
nomás dejarse información.
Right?
No, that they need to get notes from their doctor.
Well,
that
you can look into it. That's not,
That's not, yeah.
that's so appropriate to be.
So I think what he's saying is, they don't need to get their chickens yet, let's look into it, and then the department will follow up with them if it's appropriate. As of right now, just,
So right now it shows 30 days, so.
I'm sure, I'd say 30 days once,
They'll hear back in 30 days from,
if Bob finds a citation or a code at that point, because they're certain 30 days then.
Okay, so ahorita no tienen que tomar. So hasta ellos van a investigar, ya encuentran algo, y les dan otro, y luego de allí comentan.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much.
of course, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's based on really young, but I very seldom see our Latino community coming to speak at council.
Yes.
I really appreciate hearing from everybody, so thank you for being here.
Dice que aprecia que vinieron. Que hablar.
Right. Is there anybody else for public comment before we continue?
I'm gonna interject. I just want to introduce Aaron McDonald, who's our newest police officer. And Ron Davis, who is our volunteer and also helping with some record stuff on a contract. But he's gonna be our community service officer. You'll see him out. He was out on the 4th of July. And so you'll see a lot more of his presence around as well.
Welcome aboard. Thank you very much.
No.
I've got pictures of him and goats, and there are 2 goats walking around with them on a leash. If anybody wants to see him or wants to pay me, I'll put him up on Facebook.
I know some of us would like to find that rooster in town.
Thank you. Question.
All right, we will now move on. There doesn't appear to be any presentations tonight, so we're gonna move on to the consent calendar. Items A and B. Council, you had a chance to review the minutes.
I did, and I think I saw one error on our work session regarding your dates. On page 11. Paragraph starting with Mr. Fisher at the very end, you put next workshop June 23rd. I would love to go back in time, but not to that date. Other than that, we're good.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes with the exception of the change for the date?
I think I should say what, July 25th?
July 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the mix of the date.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the consent calendar as is except for the exception for the date of July? Say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? All right, moving on. There are no public hearings, and now for old business. Greg.
I thought the same thing.
Okay, new business.
You have in your packet the bid sheet. We put out for bid the street project. This is a project that is mostly funded from a small city allotment grant that the city received from ODOT last year. But we also are putting in some of our own street funds as well. But you should have in your packet the recommendation from the city engineer who reviewed. We had 14 bids. That is absolutely, and including some larger companies that were interested. Knife River bid on. They don't usually bid on 2-block projects. So we felt real good about the competition, feel good about the price. The city engineer did his due diligence. And what the city engineer did last week after the bids was give public notice to all the bidders of the intent to award. The council could award the bid tonight. So a motion to, if the council is so inclined, to make a motion to follow the recommendation of the city engineer by awarding bid per the last line of his letter, that would be in order. You should have a letter from the city engineer as well as a copy of the bid sheet with all the bids that we received.
I'm okay with it. I did some research. Everything looked decent. They had a couple of complaints a couple of years ago regarding communication issues. So as long as we have like a direct contact there, that would be great.
When the council on the motion, is that?
No, I'm just
what-
stating what I found, if anybody had anything they wanted to add.
I have a question. Does this bid include like if we have to tow cars off of the road? Or is that like a city expense?
I would expect that to be another expense, but not contained within the bid. This bid is for the actual work. So one of the things that is a little bit misleading, it said the project was estimated to be 400,000. That project estimate includes everything. Engineering, car towing, whatever else. Bid is just the actual work itself. So it's a little bit presumptuous to compare those two figures because one's the total project and one's the bid for doing that work.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the bid from D&D Concrete and Utilities, Inc. for our future construction project on road.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did I? Or what said I? Moving on tonight, we're on to staff reports, city manager.
You have a written city manager staff report. Just a few highlights I would want to share. Number one, my wife and I are moving to the city of Jervis August 1st. Housing's been a little bit tight here, and we actually had a lease that we needed to fulfill in Salem. It is our intent to become Jervis residents August 1st. Election-wise, we've only had 3 candidates file, 2 for mayor and 1 for a 2-year term on the council. Now, it's a little bit different for Jervis this year because we have 2 council seats for 2 years term, 2 council seats for 4-year terms. So we have plenty of room for people to file. The other thing that's a little bit different this year because of our state legislature is that there's a filing deadline of August 18th for incumbents and a filing deadline for non-incumbents of August 25th. It's the first time that there's been 2 different filing deadlines for positions, elections, based upon whether or not you're the incumbent or not. Not sure how this is all going to work out. However, the most important thing to understand is that if you're doing the signature petition route, if you're going out and collecting 10 signatures of registered voters, the signatures have to be verified by the county prior to the deadline. If you show up in my office on August 25th with your 10 signatures and expect to be on the ballot, that is a false expectation. The signatures need to be verified, and county will verify them as quickly as possible, but it's not a firm date. So I am assuring you that if you get your signatures turned in at least a week in advance prior to the deadline, then you'll be a lot better chance of making the ballot. Um, so just be aware of the two deadlines, which is a good thing. Be aware that there are 2-year terms, 4-year terms on council, as well as a 2-year term as mayor, and that the signatures have to be verified in advance. Before collecting the signatures, you have to submit your application for approval by the city before starting the collection of signatures. So that's sort of the ground rules of running for office. So, all right, heads up. In the past, the city has erroneously required both the fee being paid and the signatures. Haven't figured that one out yet. No, the law is one or the other. Pay the $25 fee, or you can do the signatures. You don't have to do both. So that's another change for Jervis, only because at least for the last 2 elections, we haven't exactly told the line. We paid IRS 21 grand on June 22nd. This had to do with not paying federal payroll tax during January, February, and March of 2024. Again, we found the report in its original format was in the files, which means if the original was here, it never got submitted. It has been submitted. We have paid the $21 that was a part of that. We have yet to receive or be notified as to the fine for that late payment. So what this did was spend 21 grand in last year's budget that we didn't know about. We had one local business donate $200 toward our fireworks. Thank you very much, Data Vision. And I will be crafting a very flowery letter for the mayor to sign at some point. And thanks and regards for the $200 donation from our cable phone company. We have been working diligently on the construction excise tax issue. We've done it twice. One time we felt that we'd overpaid the school district $34,000. Second time we did it, we thought we had overpaid the school district $32,000. The nuance in between is that in 2024, we processed 2 building permits, which we cannot find any documentation of having been paid for. I mean, we can't find where paid for their approved. So, which means they didn't pay the construction excise tax, which means we have a situation where we owe the school district for construction excise tax, which we didn't collect. Anyway, we have provided a copy of all of our expense sheets from all of our projects for 5 years and our spreadsheet that our finance specialist and city clerk have worked hard on, and they are reviewing that material. And my expectation is that they will affirm that we are in the credit of either 32,000 or 34,000. A little bit about our fund carryover. We have our draft 24-25 budget done, which, I'm sorry, 24-25 audit done, which means that how much we have existing in all of our funds has modified slightly beyond what staff estimates were since I've arrived here. And the only fund that I'm seriously concerned about is the sewer fund. The people that wrote the 25-26 budget, the budget year that just ended last week, people that wrote the budget estimated that the sewer fund started with $850,000 on July 1st of 2025. When I arrived, I went back and looked at revenue and expense. And my estimate went from 850,000 to 217,000. When we got the draft audit, their estimate is 127,000. So the sewer fund went from a budgeted start from 850 to 127. And as a result, I think that the sewer fund started this year, as in last week, probably 20,000 in the red. Now, 3,000 of that is because of the IRS bill that we just paid, because the percentage of the IRS bill was staff that weren't sewer. So, because of payroll. So, anyway, it is my expectation that we will discover that the sewer fund started this calendar year, this budget year, I'm sorry, started last week with 20,000 in the red. Now, on the other side of that coin, we thought we had spent all the funds that were in the ARPA fund, and the draft audit says, no, you have about 275,000 still there. So what is probably going to happen, and I'm waiting for final audit figures, is that we will do a supplemental budget, hopefully at the August council meeting, in which we will take that 275 and split it half into the general fund, half into the sewer fund, and that will put the sewer fund within 3,000 of what we projected this year's budget would be. And that will help the general fund based upon taking ourselves out of the hole that we thought we were 373 in the hole, and the audit report puts us at 433 in the hole. So I know that's a lot of figures out yet, but I'm saying that despite our challenges, we know now better where we're at financially than we have within our recent history. We have a path forward. We will get an audit ding when we do the 26-27 audit, because we started a fund in the red, but we know where we're at. We know where we're headed. It's better than where we were when I came on board in May of 2025. Staff was working with some economic development folks and some property owners here in town to discuss options as it relates to the use of some of the buildings on 4th Street. We've had 2 meetings, one with a property owner and one with professional staff from the business administration folks. And there will be additional gatherings with another business owner sometime later this month. Do we have a date yet? Okay. But, you know, when the budget and finance and audit stuff is clean, the next priority, mostly driven by council goals, is to start looking at economic development, community development, business development, and urban growth boundary stuff. So we're laying the groundwork to move in that particular direction. I remind the council, per Council President Wright correcting our minutes, that on July 23rd, we have a work session. Talk about the housing development code and food cart vendor policy. We have a council meeting on August 6th. I've heard from 2 councilors who will not be present, so I have taken a poll to make sure we have enough here for for a quorum on August 6th. I'm taking a couple days of time off on July 21st, and on July 31st, it's all about packing as I'm moving on August 1st. We have 2 seats on the budget committee expire this year. we will be posting and asking for nominations. That concludes, also in the back is a copy of the letter. Typically, it's addressed to Sean Duffy. Typically, when we get these requests, we try to get run by council first, but they were on a short time frame. This is a letter that I drafted, the mayor signed, and really what it is a request for support for a grant. Typically, when the mayor signs letters, we get a vote from council, and especially if it involves policy or something a little bit more controversial than the county asking us for a letter of support or grant. So I provided you in the packet a copy of that letter. So what is it when you ask for permission afterwards? Forgiveness, but whatever it is, I want to provide you a copy of that letter.
Yes.
But the mayor signed it at my request. So he gets credit. I can do it. That concludes my prepared staff report. Be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Rick.
Rick, would it be appropriate to postpone the August meeting for a week, or do we want to?
We have another counselor that's going to be gone the following week. Now it's one counselor instead of two, but plus we had to do a legal ad 2 days ago for the 30 days prior to do the thing. So if we can get a quorum, we really need to be on the 6th. I can go in your place so they have the council here. I don't know how your wife would feel about that.
Is that open to the public?
It's a council meeting, so yes, it's open to.
Of course.
That concludes my report. Happy to answer questions.
Any questions from the council? Moving on, police department, Peter.
Okay, so my report has got a lot of information as it normally does, and I'm gonna go along the lines with Rick on a particular topic, in that he's done a very good job of working with the budget, identifying where there's shortfalls and where there's issues with the budget. And he's communicated that clearly, and I think I've been very consistent in communicating clearly with you about the problems here. You'll see in my update, and I had asked Mandy to come because I think it's really critical to underscore what troubles this city has faced as a result and continues to face from a liability standpoint from the condition and the state that the police department was in. She was referring to a gentleman that I had actually advised, I think at one council meeting ago, that we'd arrested and charged for a number of hate crimes. And he did just plead guilty yesterday. He has no, to this point, he's had no person crimes on his criminal history, which makes sentencing really, really difficult. As a result of his guilty plea, he now is a convicted felon 3 times over for 3 hate crimes that were committed here. The issues with him have spanned a 10-year period with the Jervis Police Department, and nothing was done. The problems are varied, but the bottom line is that guy has been here and terrorized his neighborhood and domestic violence issues for 10 years. He is serving, I transported him on May 29th. He has not seen the light of day outside since that time. He's still sitting in Marion County Jail, where he will remain for yet another 30 days. He will then be released on 4 years post-prison supervision with an ankle bracelet, GPS monitoring, on house arrest. Following that, he will be on 3 years probation. In addition to that, the family that he tormented has 5 lifetime stalking orders against him because of the threats that he posed to the family. He has to participate in alcohol treatment, anger management treatment, drug treatment. He has to pay for it and participate in it. He can never possess firearms, and he can never go into bars. And this all seems like a really good outcome. It really is a tragedy because the family that he was tormenting directly across the street from him has had to put their house up for sale because they're moving out of Jervis because they're terrorized of him. Terrorized by him, grammatically, horribly stated, but they're terrified of it. And as I put in here, yes, he's got stalking orders, but those are pieces of paper. And the list of people that have been murdered and assaulted by their assailant who was under the direction or restriction of a stalking or restraining order is thousands of people long. So the paper is a piece of paper. It gives us a vehicle to deal with him in the future. But the reality is for this family who literally lived 25 feet across the street from him, they did not feel safe, do not any longer feel safe in their community. And I just really want to underscore, this is just one of, I don't know how many cases we're still dealing with. The dogs, the animal abuse that we dealt with. Those dogs were tormented and tortured for at least 3.5 years, where the daughter came in and complained and begged the police department to act on it, and they refused to act on it. I've got 2 additional cases that we're working on right now. One of them is domestic violence. We're having to go back to statute of limitations. In one case, the woman was assaulted and when she was pregnant, and it caused her to go into early labor, and because he assaulted her, and we're going to be going after that. But again, we're running right up against statute of limitations. But this is just case after case after case that we're running into. And we really would like to get our stats up and get the traffic citations up. The bottom line is these cases are not simple. They are incredibly time consuming. And just as Rick is doing on a financial side, this essentially is the same thing, but on an administrative side. And I'm very pleased, as like Rick is very pleased with where he's been able to go. I am pleased where we have the progress we've made and what we've been able to do. But the reality is every day we're fighting something else. And it's probably going to be a multi-year process, or certainly a multi-month process, until these new discoveries stop coming in. And I just want to be very transparent with all of you that that's what we're facing. And again, it really is a really tragic event that this family had to pick up and sell their house and move because they did not feel safe here. And it was really important where Mandy was willing to come in. I wanted to have a voice other than mine that underscores what's been happening. One other thing on here, but 2 other things. 4th of July update. We did not have a single fireworks complaint. Not one single call reporting fireworks. I did encounter 3 individuals. As I would come around the corner, they're shooting off fireworks. And so I just hit the record button, went up and talked to them and explained to them, I count 10 fireworks here. It's $2,500 per firework. Do the math. And I said, you've got a free one. We come back, I'm charging you with all of these, plus whatever I see you with in the future. No problems. Shut it down. 99% of the noise stopped probably by 11 or 11:30. And again, obviously there were still the random ones, but I mean, I was really surprised. Highway Specialty in Brooks donated all of the highway cones. Brian went out and with his sons and actually put those cones up, but they didn't charge us anything for that. I got a hold of Republic Services. They donated a 4-yard dumpster to put all the fireworks in. I didn't want them left in the field that night. So when it was all done, Mike and I and his crew actually picked up all the stuff, put it in the dumpster. The fire department sprayed it down. We put in about 2 or 3 inches of water at the bottom of it. And when Public Works came in the morning, they didn't have to do anything. It was done. So I thought that was very good of Republic Services to do that and prevent it from, even though they were sprayed down on the grass and the grass was sprayed down, it still could have weakened. And this way we just kind of put a stop to it completely. And again, save Public Works for having to deal with it in the morning. Other thing that's in here is National Night Out. Somebody asked me and I clearly forgot to put the date in there. It's August 4th, Tuesday, August 4th. If you go through there, it explains kind of my philosophy and the direction that we're going. We are not going to charge. Nobody will be charging anything, because if people have to charge, people have to pay. Some people can, some people can't. It excludes people that can't, and they have to sit there. Kids don't understand. The parents feel ashamed and less than. And so we're wanting to make sure that this is a free event. It's to get people engaged and connected with community services, senior disabled services, children protective services, food banks. We're getting a bunch of different people to be present. Location's gonna be different this year. It's gonna be across from Sacred Heart. We're gonna use the field immediately to the east. We're gonna close the street down. We're gonna use their field immediately to the east and their field immediately to the north of the actual church itself. I'm sorry?
What time?
6 to 9. Yeah. And we're ordering new mobile data terminals. Bottom line, because of some decisions that I made and that we were able to negotiate, we saved the city $14,000 in that purchase. Sorry, I've got a fever and I'm losing my voice. But that saved the city $14,000. And I would encourage you to read the rest of it when you've got time, because it kind of talks about our philosophy. And while I'm saying that we're going to put a stop to all of this stuff and ignoring stuff and not paying attention, and people are going to can expect to get sentences out of it, because we're not going to mess around. At the same time, we want to make sure we're not trying to over police. That's something that we need to be really, really aware of, and we don't need to be out stopping people for driving 2 miles an hour with the speed limit, or throwing a straw casing off of a Starbucks straw on the ground. I mean, we need to be reasonable. We don't want to ever over police, and that's something that we need to be really conscious of. I'll shut up.
Thank you, Bob. You know, Council, any questions about?
No, thank you again for your reports.
I want to say thank you for reaching out, allowing us to help with getting things set up.
You're very welcome.
We love how she did a great job.
Thank you, Mandy, for coming tonight. I'm sorry that you had to live in fear for so long. It's not right, and I hope that goes away.
I think this goes without saying, is not to give Bob more work. If somebody watching this, you feel like the police department hasn't responded in the past, please start talking to the police department, give them more work, because there is a statute of limitations. Make sure you take care of it before it goes bad.
And we're seeing that people are coming in saying, we've heard that you've got new leadership and that people are trying to turn it around. So that's actually some of this is just accidental, and other of it, people are deliberately hearing, hey, there's a change, and so they're coming in and reporting stuff that they've not in the past.
I like seeing the uptake in the presence of the police officers and you and your diligence and everything. One of the things that might need some attention if it comes back into play is the little red pantry that's been.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
I kind of replied to that and wanted to bring it up so that the community knows it's a thing that's talked about, not just thrown out.
Right. And that's something I saw, and I think we already have. If not, we were already going to reach out to them. That grammatically didn't make sense either, but you know what I meant.
Yeah, the school reached out and asked if they could move it over there. And Devin, who started it, and several of us families donated, told the school district just to let us know what they needed, and we should keep going. So it'll be there at the beginning, if not already.
Also, and I told Mickey, but Sherwin Williams in Woodburn has donated 20 gallons of paint, neutral paint, to be used to cover up graffiti. I went over and talked to them, and they're donating 20 gallons, and they said it's coming from another store, and they said it should be in probably this week.
JW will donate the brushes and blowers.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Teamwork makes the dream work. Moving on, Public Works.
Mayor and Council, Kyle was not able to attend this evening. I have a couple comments. You have a very extensive written report in your packet because the Public Works Department's been busy. Some challenges, some events unexpected. It relates to activities both on the water side, sewer side, and the street side. On the water side, there's something out there called the PLC. Now, everybody in the water business refers to it as a PLC. I asked two people what the PLC stands for and ended up having to call an engineer to find out. But on the morning of June 25th, Public Works staff arrived at work and found that the programmable logic controller, PLC, was inoperable and preventing the production of water. Now, we usually keep the water reservoir at 9 feet and above, and it was at 6. And we were not able to restart it. Our PLC, well, PLCs typically have a lifetime of 20 years. We've had this one for 16. Now, there was a previous incident, I'm thinking 2021. Back in 2021, a very similar event occurred with a very similar result including zero support from the manufacturer out of Utah. And so, sort of a local gadget guy who is well renowned and respected, came in both then and came in on the morning of June 25th. More or less worked electronic end-around. Essentially, it's a fancy computer. It is a controller. It's a computer about the size of the symbol in the water treatment plant. 20-year lifestyle, and we're on 20-year lifetime, and we're on year 16. It was not a part of the planned water system improvement project that we started on July 1st last week with the design. So this is something above and beyond the water improvement plan that we had previously discussed. Several attempts to reset the unit to restore function proved unsuccessful. At my suggestion, we notified Woodburn Fire Department, only because if we had a significant event, they would need to be prepared to use tankers. You folks call them tankers. So we notified them. We brought in this local outside guy, Elson, who has worked on it before. Quite honestly, the outfit that installed it, which is headquartered in Utah, does offer or can offer flying staff out to look at it. But we had, last time when this happened, we didn't even get a phone call in response. And to the best of my knowledge, we still have not gotten a phone call for the June 25th incident. Realizing we needed more assistance, Elson from Creation Electric was contracted, and we explained our situation. He was on site in 30 minutes. He hooked up his laptop to diagnose. PLC was frozen in a lockout type situation. While we were diagnosing, the computer was able to bypass the frozen PLC and manually operate one well. So at a pretty good speed, we got one well up and running. One of the other issues that happened as part of this incident was that the system failed to notify, despite our paging system, beside our that they had shut down and stopped producing. Nobody got a call in the middle of the night. Somebody should have gotten a call in the middle of the night. So we had a secondary issue. The auto dialing monitoring service at the plant is provided by Mission Control. and facilitated by correct equipment it can be. And we are still working with them to find out why the notification. We don't know the long-term solution here. We're up and running. We're able to control. We're staying ahead of the game. But this was just a incident involving a pretty critical piece of equipment that's 16 years old. We did not have in our plan to replace. We are meeting with city engineers Wednesday morning and talking about the long-term plan. Is it a separate project or is it going to be added into? Can it wait a year? I mean, if it can wait a year, it'll be part of the improvement project that we're doing the design for this year. Can't, the standalone project that we have yet to plan or budget for. So that is the information as it relates to the PLC. Now, I'm sure Kyle can give you all sorts of techie talk about it. Not my role, not my job, not my knowledge. But we are in safe hands with our public works crew. The other major incident going on is that we have 3 lagoons. Essentially, they're sunlight ponds. Essentially, the first lagoon takes out the heavy stuff, then the mid stuff, then the light stuff. So they go from one lagoon to the next lagoon to the third lagoon. The pH level of the third lagoon exceeds the allowable discharge amount by DEQ regulation. Now, what this means is that we would be out of compliance if we discharged water. Now, if we do not have a significant rainstorm during the summer months, we don't discharge. Evaporation stays ahead of the game. But if we did have a significant rainfall incident, we would need to discharge and we would be out of compliance as it relates to the level of the pH from. We have evidence of algae development in the pool pond. So we are looking at alternatives as it relates to. There's several sort of options out there, injecting 2 different types of acid, including sulfuric, injecting something else, doing some kind of pre-treatment. The thing that we've already tried in-house was taking pH level tests from other places besides at the outlet point to see if maybe the pH issue was different. So we notified DEQ, of course. We've had 2 conversations with DEQ. Right now we're fine, we're not out of compliance. But if we had to discharge, we would. We had a conversation about how high the banks are on the lagoons. They're 9-foot banks. They're designed to accept pressure for 7 feet of that 9. We have had them at 9 feet. They have helped, but there's a risk management issue here. So it is a significant event that we're working on, and you can, and I have actually done this before, you can spray the effluent on your own city landscape, no matter what the condition of the stuff is. Well, we really don't want to do that, plus there's a question about whether or not you count the grass that we have down there as landscape. We don't exactly have a lot of landscaping in the good area. The trees, we've been told we should not put any heavy challenging chemicals on because we just replanted about a 4th of them. So we're looking at different alternatives. We're talking to specialists. We're looking at different options. My unscientific opinion is that it's a long-term issue that we need to look forward to based upon the warning of what's going on. And and the evidence of algae development where previously there wasn't. Live and learn. So we talked about the water, we talked about the sewer, and now about the street. The other day, a dump truck hit a guideline that supported the outstanding telephone power pole. And more or less put a lien into it, that it became a very dangerous situation across the street from the middle school project. Initially, we thought we would have to turn off power at the time they did the transfer of lines from the down pole to the new pole. The new pole was here within 2 hours. The very, very, very special heavy duty super duper crane truck came from some outfit in Portland, showed up about 4 hours after the incident. They were able to do the transfer. We talked to Dollar General people about the possibility that they could lose power and what that means to them for the food supply. We also worked up a shift to cover the water plant because if we lose power to the water plant, it goes to the generator, but we still need a babysitter. So we did some basic notifications on Facebook website, but we got by essentially this dump truck while driving by the guideline, grabbed it as we went by on the edge of the truck and actually pulled it significantly enough to cause disruption of the support to the other pole. So this last week, we've had water, sewer, and street things that have kept our public works people busy. The comment that I would add is stormwater. That project that we're doing in front of the school district administrative office near there is something that we would not be able to do if we did not have the new backhoe and if we did not have the 4th public works employee. It would be contracted out and we would be spending $75,000 instead of $25,000. That is a fact. Staff is doing us well. They're doing us justice, and we're getting good bang for the buck, and things are moving as they should be moving. That concludes my public works report, and I'm not too sure if I'll take questions or not.
If we don't meet compliance with DEQ, is it just a fine, or is it like a whole plan that we would have to put together?
Well, there's 2 different issues here. One, if we do it, we would get either a nasty letter or a nasty letter and a fine, though engaging them on the front end is better than telling them about it afterwards. Any change we do in the process requires DEQ review. So we're talking about if we add a chemical into the process, we've got to go through what is normally a very lengthy, long-term DEQ process as we are changing the process of processing of our wastewater. Didn't exactly answer your question, but that's the best I've got for you right now.
Thank you.
Other questions from the council? All right, we'll move on to the check register. The council get a chance to read through it. Do they have any questions?
No, we're killing big stuff. I'm happy.
You're the first one.
I know.
Nothing from the council? All right, we will move on to the council business from mayor and council reports. So I do have something to say to the mayor. I want to go ahead and I wish he was here. Thank Michael Gregory for the great job doing the fireworks again. It was a really good event. It was really great. As for the residents, I want to thank the residents. This year, even though there were a lot of people out there, we had great fireworks. When me and my son and a couple of the volunteers went around to pick up the pylons and clean stuff up, we also walked around the perimeter and fields, and there was minimum minimum amount of garbage. I think I found 2 plates with some chicken bones on them. That was literally it, but usually you could ask the public works, they said that the last few times we've done it, they've had a hell of a mess to usually clean up afterwards. But this year, the residents did a really good job cleaning up after themselves. And I just want to thank the public for that. That's it. Thank you. No one else?
I look forward to seeing everybody at National Night Out. Can we maybe put some signs up at the park too? Some of our residents don't have Facebook. I actually have a couple of people in the neighborhood.
you mean announcing it's different?
Yeah, because normally the kids are used to just driving by on their bikes and seeing it out there, so. Thank you.
The school signs are working, can we ask them to maybe put it up?
I'm sorry,
If the school signs are working now, can we ask them to maybe put them up? They'll do it for us?
you mean on the reader boards? I've already done that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Right, I can't tell by the this, we do not have an executive session tonight, is that correct? We do have it. We do have an executive
You
session.
do have an executive session and you would need to read both the ORS and the reason for the session. We do not expect any council action afterwards. In other words, after the exec session, we'll come back, say we're in open and we'll adjourn. You're not anticipating any council decisions after the exec session.
Okay. All right, so that being said, we are now going to go into executive session. The city council may hold executive session per ORS 192.660 Foxtrot to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. May the representative people in here please vacate the premises. And as he stated, we will come right back in